immediately became a liability. This is unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
Let's bring up the analysis board real quick and just show how that finished. That is what Magnus Carlsen does, right? That type of thing right there. And we just quickly bring up that board. Oop, wrong board actually.
That was impressive too, by the way. That was the first time he did something like this.
Yeah, we're back to the live game, but that board there was absolutely, that finish there with the pawn going to h7 was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, maybe we can show that during the break. I mean, ridiculous how he.
Well, I've got it up
around.
here. If we got an analysis board, I can quickly just show the finish while they play this next opening, just to show that it was h7, the overcommitment of the pawn. No, apparently the games aren't in order right now. I'm trying to get them up. We'll forget about it and do it later. Right now, we'll go back to the live game that is in progress. But okay,
it's never over with Magnus. That's the lesson from all of this. It's like. You literally can never relax. He will find chances based on a single passed pawn that's somewhere on a7, and before you know it, it's right in your grill, and it's promoting to a queen.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm shocked, but also not shocked. Magnus and Hikaru are the two guys who, you see those things flip around. That's why the game is played. Time pressure puts the people in uncomfortable spots.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's such a treat to watch this unfold. And right now, this is in a critical phase of the match, Danny, for Caruana. Think about it. There's 18 minutes left. Okay, that's probably 2 more games.
Yeah.
He really needs to try to go at least 1.5 half, at least keep this manageable, because you lose another game, and at that point, it's kind of officially starting to look like a bit of a blowout.
Yeah. Well, it starts to look like smarter chess will be right. No one likes that, right? He predicted a 3-game victory. Not the exact score necessarily that we'll have, but he did predict a 3-game margin for Carlsen out of the 5-1 portion. Okay. This is a Petrov.
Yeah, that's about everything we can say about this position.
Yeah.
There's nothing really else to talk about here. It's just a Petrov.
This is a Petrov. Thank you.
I wonder if it's a Petrov, Danny. Do you think this is a Petrov?
Yeah. Is it a Petrov?
I wasn't sure what you thought on a controversial topic. I wanted to solicit your advice on, which is whether it's a Petrov.
This is a Petrov.
Okay, well, Carlsen with a little pull. I mean, the knight is a smidge better than the bishop here.
Yeah.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
Smidge Maisel.
But it's one of those positions where, again, unfortunately for Fabi, the small advantage games have been going Carlsen's way today. But nothing super exciting. It is a Petrov, which means the structure is completely symmetrical.
Yep.
You could also get this from a Berlin, by the way. We keep saying Petrov. You could get, okay, maybe not the exact pieces are a little bit different, but you could get something like this from a Berlin.
Yeah, and this is already starting to look unpleasant, and it's magnified, no pun intended. When you're playing Magnus, every slightly unpleasant position basically looks like a lost position. Like you underestimate your position and overestimate Magnus's position, and obviously that produces more mistakes. Objectively, this is very close to equal, but that knight on f5 is nasty. Maybe queen f3 to x-ray black's queen, and typical Magnus stuff starts happening.
Yep. And at this point, when you have an edge on the clock too, you're willing for this one to go all the way down to the wire. Not gonna say, all right, you've earned it, buddy. Here's a draw. That's not what they do here. All right. Well, Magnus using his 30-second edge to think about how to approach, because Bobby, Danya, you can play c3 and queen f3. You could also go all in here a little bit, right? At some point, get a little. Here he goes a little bit.
I was going to point out h5, and the idea isn't quite tactical. I think it's more positional. He's just trying to create a lot of strain on Black's king side, right? And maybe create the preconditions for some sort of a sacrifice on g6, which could not be such a remote possibility, Danny, if you think about it. If the queen moves away from f6, it's already basically a reality. And the other unpleasant thing, of course, is that white controls the only open file, which is always very important.
Yep. Here's my obligatory open files are like commodities reference, supply and demand. If there's only one, it's even more important than an open board. And so what do you do if you're Caruana?
Maybe bishop g7 and king f8, try to use the goalkeeper to kick the corner kick. I don't know.
I like that. Put the king on f8 to get the rook to e8.
But then queen e3. White beats him to the punch.
Mm-hmm.
It's annoying.
This is so vintage Carlsen Caruana. This is like exactly like
classic position out of their game. Just a classic.
But the difference is when they drew 12 games in the classical World Chess Championship, of course, of 2018, as the time control got faster, the same type of style ultimately really favored Carlsen, being just a little bit better than Fabi in a couple of these areas, and as the seconds tick away. So tough. And we still got a long match to be played. We know that Fabi impressed everybody with his bullet performance versus Arjun Erigaisi, so by no means is it over. But stylistically, this has been Caruana's problem against Carlsen throughout their career, right? That they're very similar, both highly accurate, highly precise, just so good, both very well prepared. Carlsen, just like Caruana, but a little bit better in a lot of those spots.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that's the best way to appreciate the nature of Carlsen's 3-point lead. None of the games have been blowouts or 20-move wins or, Caruana blundered a fork here. He's just squeezing, and it's merciless. He does it every game, and he's doing it again here. Look at how he manages to weaken the f5 square, Danny, at the cost of a pawn. Yes, but it's not a very good pawn. Now he's going to go knight f5, maybe rook e5, and it's just relentless pressure. No matter how simple the position looks, he's going to make it tough on you.
Yep. And it is super instructive. I mean, even if it's not the flashiest, sexiest attack you've ever seen, showing your ability to drive things like h5 and eventually pry weaknesses and make things happen in an otherwise symmetrical 3 versus 3 pawn structure. I think a lot of lower rated players look at those things and those positions and they yawn or they check out. But while engines have taught us, a lot of things about dynamic chess and how to persevere, there's always tactical shots. They've also showed us ways to this alpha zero H pawn, as we say. They've showed us ways to create chances when otherwise players of a previous generation maybe wouldn't have fought so hard in an equal position like this.
And that is a great point, and it's a point that was made also by Veselin Topalov when I interviewed him a while back. I was actually commentating with him during the World Cup, and he mentioned that Magnus Carlsen, one of the specific ways in which he revolutionized the game is that literally positions where players would have agreed to draw 10 years ago, 15 years ago, now they don't even think about agreeing to a draw. It's not even a question that, you're going to squeeze this for another 50 moves.
Yep.
And it's amazing to see how our understanding of the game has revolutionized, even compared to the modern era. And Carlsen holds all the keys to the kingdom here. The king infiltrating f6.
I mean, the king is coming in. It's like this is so hard to hold. I feel so bad, and I'm down 2 minutes if I'm Fabiano. In addition to feeling like a boa constrictor is wrapped around my neck, right? It's like when you wrap your kids up to go out in the snow, and you wrap the scarf super tight and the jacket and the gloves, and you send them out and they can't move.
Yep.
Like that's what we're dealing with here. Like Fabi was all dressed up and ready to go play in the snow, but he can't move.
Yeah, I totally know what that feels like, Danny, coming from San Francisco. A lot of snow, a lot of snow in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I mean, it's not fun. And then you're sweating a ton, right? You're warm, even though it's freezing outside. You're dehydrated. I mean, sorry. That's how Fabiano feels right now. A lot like that.
No, that's a good comparison. And King F6 is still in play. You could try to get the king around to E5 and attack D5. Another IQP position, by the way. This time Carlsen is on the other side of it. But I don't think this game is over. I mean, White still needs to find a way to actually win material here, win the D5 pawn or the H7 pawn. So a lot of things that Carlsen could try here. But
that
13
said,
seconds.
I was going to say Fabi's down to 13 seconds. Talk about, but what did F4 do, Danya? Look at that. Principle of two weaknesses. Eat your heart out, right? Magnus is playing both sides of the board, a very, very mature approach. This is, with time pressure, almost an impossible position to hold. I'm not trying to like check out here, but like with time pressure, with Magnus, with the weaknesses on both sides of the board, F4, such a strong move to open up the chances of creating other targets.
And I want to point out, especially to the young players who are watching this match and trying to emulate the greats, how Carlsen is managing his time. He's playing fast
Yeah.
But he's not playing instantly. He's not trying to flag him. He's taking 3-4 seconds to move.
Yep.
And look at what he's doing. He's won the d4 pawn, and the game is over.
Yeah, and note that when you create opportunities for your opponent, when you create problems for your opponent, like f4 did, again, speaking to the young players, don't underestimate the practical power of that.